Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and always a delight and a mystery to have with us Bob Just. Yes, if I was to put all the titles below his name, it would take up the whole screen. But we're just going to go with Cool Dude. Actually, he heads up Concerned Fathers, and he also is. You see him on the Hannity show, television show. This guy's been to Hannity Studios. He has hosted the Sean Hannity radio show. How come they call you and they don't call me?
Hey, I've been your co-host.
Yeah, but I'm on the right, you're on the left. How come they call you?
I'm on the left. I love that. Yeah, that was funny. I was probably Hannity's first conservative, first Democrat. So it took me a while, I think, to persuade the audience I was a conservative. But
yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Welcome.
That was great fun.
Where you been hiding out?
Hiding out in wonderful Grants Pass. Serve Grants Pass. Hey, by the way, Serve Grants Pass is coming up soon.
Yeah. Well, listen, you are here because of an incredible thing that you do with concerned dads and moms and students.
And youth.
Birthday. How in the world did this come about? It's turned out to be a huge event.
It's really exciting. We just found out that cavemen are going to visit our event, so everyone's pretty excited about what's going on. Well, you know, Perry, I don't even remember if I told you the story. Early in my marriage, many years ago, I was very cynical about birthdays as a young man, and my wife loved birthdays. Wendy just loved birthdays, and she completely turned me around on birthdays because, you know, I was thinking cake, another year, you know, and she said, no, you're celebrating that person's alive. You are celebrating that person exists. And it completely turned me around. I'd never thought of it that way. And I never forgot that. And so about 14 years ago, I thought of the idea that, hey, what if we celebrated everybody's birthday on the same day? With the purpose of multiple purposes. I mean, for one thing, if you go into the schools, and that's what we do, we go into the schools and serve ice cream sundaes and wish all the kids happy birthday. And it's birth-day as in Earth Day, you know, it's birthday. And it's just taking off. I mean, the first year we launched it at New Hope Christian School in 2012, and then last year we did 4 schools, including 2 public elementary schools, Jerome Prairie and Madrona. And we did video, and we showed everyone the video, and they said, this really looks like fun. So this year we're in about 5 elementary schools. We're going to be in the middle school, Lincoln Savage Middle School. And we're going to be in Grants Pass High. So the men, Concerned Fathers Against Crime, Concerned Mothers Alliance for Children, they serve the elementary and middle schools. Concerned Fathers is going into Grants Pass High, and in the space of 1 hour, we're going to be serving somewhere between 1,200 and 1,700 kids ice cream sundaes. That's a lot of ice cream. Yeah. Umpqua has given us a break on, a discount, and we're going to be serving.
This sign is being posted in the high school. There has never been another you, and there's never going to be. Happy birthday.
That's right.
And so, all right, they're going to get a free ice cream sundae. What's the message you're trying to give them? Well, you know, really, it is their uniqueness. See, even in a secular realm like our public schools, there are a lot of kids who, like me, came from, as you know, a secular, broken home, okay? And the idea of uniqueness is, and science says, it's, you know, obviously the Bible says, but science also says, there's never been another you, and there's never going to be. So for a child who has never thought of it that way, to be told that they are that unique is a step away from saying your life is a gift. Now, you're unique. What are you going to do with that uniqueness? What are you going to do with your special gifts, your special skills? Well, that's, you know, a biblical truth, and it's a good way to challenge young people to think differently about themselves. The kids especially who come from broken homes and may have not a very good self-image, you know. How did the school respond to this? The officials and
I mean, Grants Pass High has got, across 6th Street, we had a sign saying, "Happy birthday, everybody," which is a quote from one of the kids in our first year. Happy birthday, everybody, and it says concerned families serving local schools. And the sign was up over Easter week, which was just a blessing, because I walked in and said, what can you give me in late April? And said, well, we can't give you late April, but how about mid-April? I'll take it. And it turned out to be Holy Week. Wow. How wonderful. So it was up on Easter. But when it came down, Grants Pass High now has it on the fence in front of their building. So, and it says, happy birthday, everybody. And they're very excited. They put the sign up. They told me, they said, look, we have 1,700 kids. How are we going to deal with birthdays? It's too big an issue. And of course, some kids have their birthdays during the summer. Some kids don't get invited to the cool parties. Some kids don't have much of a birthday at home just because of the awkward circumstance of a broken home or whatever, or poverty, you know, whatever it is. And so this is a day we can say, happy birthday. Wow. And it's, by the way, not just for kids. So on May 1st, I may call you and say, Perry, happy birthday.
Okay, well, I thought you and I are past that. Okay, so
good point, Perry.
How logistically is the schools going to like a rally or something?
Well, no. You see, the thing is, and also I have to say, there's a birthday festival, and the festival is the Saturday after May 1st. In other words, the first Saturday in May. Birthday is always May 1st, and the festival is whatever the following Saturday is. Okay. The festival, birthday honors our unique individuality.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Okay. And a birthday festival celebrates our community. It celebrates specifically our historic roots, pre-1900 historic roots, and the people who did it. In other words, what individuals did, how they made under God America of the 19th and 18th centuries, specifically 19th century. But the nice thing is, you know, we know how often critics of America, and there are many, many critics of America, who will always point out the bad things, who will always point out to slavery, whatever. Well, on a birthday, I don't hold a birthday party for you and say, all right, let me tell you all the things that, you know, I don't like about Perry. I celebrate Perry. I celebrate, if Perry were to move away, I would miss him. Why would I miss him? There's a certain thing that is Perry that I celebrate. And so you celebrate the good things. So why can't we do that with America? Why can't we do that with Oregon's history and Josephine County's history and maybe Jackson County's history? Yeah. You know, why can't we celebrate ourselves? And that's what Birthday Festival is about, coming up this Saturday.
This Saturday, and that'll be from 10 until 1. And in the middle of all that, they're going to have a cake race. Yeah. What in the world is a cake race?
And by the way, this is at the Boys and Girls Club on the soccer field, assuming it's a sunny day, and please pray for sun. The cake race, part of the birthday festival, which includes a old-time covered wagon, which we got from Boxar Ranch, and thank you for that connection, Perry, and oh gosh, we have, you know, a Pioneer demo of equipment that Pioneers used, and we have a person going to teach Pioneer games to the kids, and someone who explained the covered wagon. But the Cake Fest is part of the overall festival, and the Cake Fest has a couple of different elements. One is a professional cake decorator who's going to do a demo, but the central event is the cake race that you're asking about. And the cake race is we give 3 middle schools and 3 high schools this year, hopefully we'll get them all next year, we give them 1 hour to decorate a cake. Now they're allowed to pre-plan it, they're allowed to talk to their art teacher, they're talk to their parents, they're allowed to go talk to chefs and bakers and get whatever advice they want, come up with a design. The theme is Pioneer Days, and to come up with a theme, obviously a positive theme, and then they can get any help they want from fellow students, but when they take the field, they have to have between 3 and 6 students, and they're judged on design, which includes originality, design, execution, teamwork, and time. So they have to finish within an hour, but the team that if one team finishes in 40 minutes and does a good job, they're going to have an edge. They're going to get points for that. Okay. So it is a race.
All right. So the birthday celebration on the school campuses is tomorrow. Be praying for that, and it should be a great opportunity to just celebrate the uniqueness of an individual. And then the community celebrates birthday with all of these festivities, really kind of like a Pioneer Day coming up, and that'll be Saturday, and that's going to be at the park where?
Where? That's going to be at Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
On the soccer field.
On the soccer field.
Yeah, and we have cake. A lot of groups are supplying cake for the public. The Gospel Rest Commission is supplying a cake. Josephine County Historical Society is. Boys and Girls Club is making 3 cakes. We have. Oh, I got to tell you the coolest thing. Brady Adams, who is one of our leading citizens, you know him, Perry, very well. Brady thought of the idea of cake. He said, well, you know, because we had the pioneer idea, and he said, well, you do ice cream on why don't you do cake? We'll have a big cake thing. And we finally figured out how to handle that. And one of his ideas is we'll get a big cake and we'll cut it up at the end of the ceremony. We'll give it to the public, serve it to the public, and then we'll take pieces of it and deliver it to the senior residences to let them know they're included. Well, guess what? Turns out for dietary reasons, we can't do that. They can't eat the cake. But guess what happened? We realized we needed more cake to serve the public, so the residences decided they'd make us cakes. So we started out wanting to put our arm around them, and the seniors have put their arm around us. Isn't that neat?
All taking place coming up this weekend in Grants Pass. All right, tomorrow on the campus is Saturday there at the Boys and Girls Club, and that's 203 Southeast 9th Street in Grants Pass. That all starts over the weekend. All right, stick around. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get Bob just into his other mode of commentary in just a few moments. Okay, we're back with our buddy Bob Just. Nice to have him back with us, and he's busy, of course, with all the things surrounding the birthday event coming up this weekend in Grants Pass. By the way, thank you, Evergreen, and who's the other sponsor you have?
Evergreen Federal and Tap Rock are our major event sponsors. Well, we have a lot of friends,
of course. Thank you. Well, Bob, it's been a while since I've had you in the studio to kind of just jaw with you a little bit. I had a story earlier today. In fact, it was one of the stories that I put up on the screen that Secretary of State John Kerry doesn't seem to be getting any traction. In fact, he's under a lot of fire. Every one of his policies, it appears at the moment to be failing. Ukraine's a mess, an absolute chaos. North Korea is out of control. The Middle East is upside down, and our only ally in the Middle East, Israel, he turns around and says, by the way, to the Trilateral Commission, that it's dangerously close to becoming an apartheid state. And things have erupted. And even some people, as you know, Senator Ted Cruz has called for his resignation over that statement.
Yes, and rightly so.
And probably one of the hottest moments I've ever seen Charles Krauthammer came unglued and basically said, yes, he should resign. In fact, we should demand that he step down over that statement. Right. Now, Juan Williams was trying to throw water on that fire, and that didn't go anywhere because Charles Krauthammer just jumped up and said, you're wrong, and went after him. Anyway, can we tolerate this? This is crazy.
Well, there are two dynamics at work here, and one is the general mess of the Obama administration, because Hillary Clinton is thrashing around trying to find out what she can say positive about her period of time as Secretary of State. And of course, John Kerry inherited that mess and has made it more of a mess. So there's an overall administration dynamic. But let me just address John Kerry first, and particularly the apartheid state comment. This is so grossly unfair. Not only, of course, Israel is our staunch ally in that area, but Israel has many Palestinians, as you know, that live as citizens within their country and have the rights of a citizen.
And are in their government.
Israel, absolutely in their government, and Israel is remarkable in that sense. Compared to the other Middle Eastern countries. Remarkable in its openness and its inclusiveness. So on the face of it, it's an outrageous statement. Then said by Secretary of State and directed toward one of our allies using an analogy of apartheid, which was so horrendous in South Africa. So first of all, it's grossly inaccurate. Second of all, it's grossly unfair, and he should resign.
Well, is he having a Joe Biden moment? He opens his mouth and the wrong thing comes out.
I tend to think that something like that was calculated. That's, of course, just a guess.
Somebody said that it was actually a point on a talking point sheet. It was actually one of those points from a Palestinian talking point sheet that they had referenced Israel of dangerously becoming an apartheid state. But you know what's so interesting about this, Bob? He's never said anything about North Korea. He's never said anything like that to Russia and Putin. He's never said anything like that to Venezuela. I mean, and the list goes on of those who are clearly, you know, against our policy. Our only ally, and the president has said nothing in correcting it. Nothing. To me, he's speaking in behalf of the United States.
He is.
He's clearly speaking in behalf of this administration, and we're sending the signal that we're probably not considering Israel our ally anymore with that kind of a statement.
You know, forgive me for a reference to something I wrote, but I wrote it a long time ago, so it makes a point. I wrote an article called My Un-American Democratic Party, and in that article predicted that the Democratic Party would turn against Israel. It's an inevitable process because of what the Democratic Party has come to represent, which is essentially anti-God. I mean, we all remember the moment in the convention when they basically shouted down the idea of God being in their platform. There's just an inevitable drift of this. The left has sided with radical Islam. We know this from our college campuses. David Horowitz, I mean, you've had on this show, you know, talks about it. The left turning against Israel is inevitable, and Jews, and you know, I grew up Jewish. Jews have to face up to this and stop voting Democrat because the Democratic Party will betray and is betraying Israel. Israel is getting squeezed in terms of our treatment of Iran. They're literally getting squeezed because the window of stopping Iran from becoming nuclear is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And as it gets smaller and smaller, there's more and more pressure on Israel to act. And the United States is the only entity in this world that can join with Israel, pressure Iran, force the issue so that Israel does not have to attack Iran. What we are doing, as I perceive it, is just the opposite, thanks to the Obama administration, is we are allowing that time to get so slim, we are basically forcing Israel to attack Iran at some point soon.
Bob, there is so many things with this administration that gives us sleepless nights and a lot of discomfort. And we seem to be past a point of pushback. We seem to be a point where no matter what we do as citizens, it doesn't seem to go anywhere. And our elected officials in Congress, primarily Boehner and others, aren't using their position to push back. And so it seems to be a wholesale gutting of the United States and what we are all about. Now, there's an election coming up. Maybe some of this will be turned around. But there's something crazy. The Obamacare website's a mess. Look at Cover Oregon, complete failure. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and nobody's calling for an accounting. Nobody's calling for a refund. It's nonsense on steroids. And don't get me wrong, I don't say that to be, I have not given up on this country. Some have. And some are hiding behind some scriptures to make their point. I believe the soul of America is still very strong. We've had our back up against the wall on many occasions, and we will push back. But in the meantime, the damage that has been done is
terrible damage,
unbelievable,
and we're going to pay a price for it. But then we have to remember, if we, you know, when we elect a president, we are electing a commander-in-chief as well as an executive, you know. And the reality is, if we pick the wrong person, we put our country under threat. I just want to say, in your comment, and I can't resist the reference, you know, I went down to visit with Dr. Ben Carson, who joined the National Advisory Board of Concerned Families. And we talked about exactly this, and I was very encouraged by what he said, because, I mean, you and I, of course, have talked about this, and we both resonate with this. And he said, there are just too many good praying Christians in this country, too many people who have been working for decades, including the wonderful patch of pastors that came up in the 70s, and or including Dr. Dobson, of course, and of course my favorite, Dr. D. James Kennedy, who have worked for, and there's so many in the fields working for, in my community is, I mean, I believe on the edge of revival. so many Christians praying together. This country, as you say, still at heart is a wonderful country. We've been tricked in several horrible ways by the Supreme Court with the separation of church and state decision in the late 40s, with the Roe v. Wade decision in the early 70s. We've been forced to accept something that is a hurt to our heart. And out of that has come, the pro-life movement, Catholics and evangelicals working together. Wonderful things are happening, and so I do believe God is going to bring us back. I don't think this is the end.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It may be a big flash before the end, who knows?
Well, it's not without damage, but it does create a resolve that otherwise we were letting drift. That we are a great country, the core of us and who we are, what we believe in is still true. And if we put God back in the center, we can get back to what He's called us to do.
Right on.
But I think there is a revival getting ready to occur. Now, how that looks, I don't know. It will be a different, I think that. But there is well, let me put it this way. Of all things we do here on the Dove Radio and television, and all the comments we get when it deals with issues, it comes down to two questions. What is truth, and who can I trust?
Right.
Yeah, well, that's the gospel.
Great. Yeah, truly.
That's the gospel. And so, but I sense that there is going to be a pushback. I hope we hold on to, I hope we end up being nice about it. We're dangerously close to being angry and losing our cool. We have to be civil about this pushback, don't you think?
Yeah, and it's something that's on my mind a lot because of going into the high school tomorrow is that we know we're going to encounter a lot of sullen kids. We know that there are a lot of kids, and when they see all these men, including some firefighters and law enforcement with us, wearing Concerned Fathers Against Crime hats, that's what we'll be wearing. We know there are kids, the statistics are staggering about kids who have huge father issues. Either absent father, no father, troubles with father. There's going to be a lot of anger and a lot of frustration and sullenness on some kids' faces. And we have to return that with love. And we have to do that, just what you're saying, nationally. That's what we have to do. You and I are always saying the left is really, for the most part, they believe a false ideology, but it's more than just their false ideology. It's also that they are vastly a broken people. They're angry, they're frustrated, and they don't know who to blame. And of course, the Democratic Party is very good at saying blame conservatives. Blame. And we have to return this as the Bible says in King James, making mouths, and Jesus is they were making mouths at me. That anger, when they turn that anger on us, we have to return that with love. We have to respond to that with love. And that's our challenge as Christians, because they have to see Christ in us.
Yeah. Well, Bob, you're a delight. Thank you for coming by. By the way, congratulations on a big event. All of this starts tomorrow at the high school. Well, all the schools. I say, how many schools?
Well, about 8 schools. We hope to get them all next year. 8
schools there in the Grants Pass area. And then Saturday, don't forget, Saturday's the big day. And that'll be over at the Boys and Girls Club Park. And that'll be from 10 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon.
And the cake race starts at 10:30. So if you have friends in middle school and high school, get over there.
Oh, the cake race.
The cake race.
The cake race. That'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you, Perry.
All right, thanks, bud. We'll be right back.